The secret Jim Carrey, kept in his wallet for years. We all know the $20 million a movie comedian, the man of 1,000 faces who can make us laugh until our stomachs hurt. But very few know the story of the young man who lived in a van, struggling every day to survive. At the bottom of his worn-out wallet, a young Jim Carrey kept a secret. A simple piece of paper that, to anyone, was worthless, but to him, it was everything. An impossible check for an astronomical sum that he had written to himself. This isn't just the story of how a boy with nothing became a Hollywood legend. It's the story of how a desperate leap of faith transformed into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Before the red carpets and the million-dollar checks, Jim Carrey's life was far from a comedy. Born in Canada, his teenage years took a 180-degree turn due to a family financial crisis. When his father lost his job, stability vanished. The family lost everything and were forced to live in a Volkswagen van. As if that weren't enough, Jim and his brother also spent months living in a tent in a park. To help his family when he turned 16, Jim had to drop out of school and take a job as a janitor, cleaning apartments next to his family at night. The nights were exhausting, and the future looked incredibly bleak. So he turned to the only thing he felt he truly possessed: humor. Since childhood, he had honed his incredible talent for imitation and laughter, especially to cheer up his mother, who struggled with hypochondria and painkiller addiction. That talent was his only beacon in the darkness. He tried to break into Toronto's comedy clubs, but his first performances were a complete failure. He was rejected and humiliated, struggling to earn barely enough to eat. But the flame of his ambition simply refused to go out. In the early 1990s, while living in Los Angeles and his career was just getting off the ground with small roles, Carrey made a decision that changed everything. There's some debate about the exact date, with some saying it was 1985, but the most commonly told story is that one day he sat in his car, looking out at the city that had rejected him so many times, and took out his checkbook. In an act of pure audacity and faith, he wrote a check to himself. In the statement he wrote, "For acting services rendered." The amount was unthinkable for an actor in his situation, $10 million, and he gave it an expiration date, Thanksgiving Day, 1995. He carefully folded that check and put it in his wallet. It wasn't just a piece of paper, it was a contract with himself, a promise that, no matter the obstacles, he would reach that goal. He carried it everywhere, a tangible and constant reminder of his worth, even when the world couldn't yet see it. But that check wasn't a magic wand. As Carrey himself has said, "You can't just visualize and then go eat a sandwich." Visualization had to go hand in hand with unstoppable action. Every time he faced rejection, every time an audition went poorly, he would take out the already worn check and stare at it. It was his fuel, proof that his situation was temporary and that his inevitable future was success. While others complained about the lack of opportunities, Carrey worked tirelessly on his craft. He perfected his physical comedy, his unique expressiveness, and his gift for creating unforgettable characters. He knew that the craziness many criticized him for was, in fact, his greatest superpower. The check wasn't a guarantee that he wouldn't fail, but a reminder of why he had to get up every time he fell. And then, 1994 arrived, the year that changed everything. Against all odds, Ace Ventura: Pet Detective became a massive hit that catapulted him to stardom. That same year, he cemented his fame with The Mask, and finally, Dumb and Dumberer. Just before the deadline on that check, Jim Carrey was offered a salary of $7 million for Dumb and Dumberer, a figure that, combined with his other earnings that year, allowed him to reach his goal of $10 million. The prophecy had been fulfilled. The check he had treasured for years, that crumpled piece of paper, now had real value. The moment was incredibly emotional, but also bittersweet. His father, his biggest fan, had passed away shortly before his success exploded. In an act of love and gratitude, Jim symbolically placed that check in his father's casket, as a tribute to the man who always believed in him. Jim Carrey's incredible story teaches us something very powerful. The real secret he kept in his wallet wasn't just the law of attraction, but the combination of a bold vision with an unwavering work ethic. It's proof that you have to believe in your own worth before anyone else, and then work tirelessly to prove it to the world. Her story compels us to ask ourselves, If the universe were waiting for your request, what would you dare to ask for? And you? What goal would you write on a check today? Tell me in the comments. And if this story inspired you, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss more stories that remind us that the impossible sometimes just takes a little longer to arrive.